Boys, we're coming at you with a little something different today because I was looking online and I got flooded with things about Ubisoft and not in a good way. Ubisoft has kind of put their foot in their mouth right now, and I think, in my personal opinion, things are getting taken a little bit out of context. And let's just jump right into it. If you look at the top of this article, this has been floating around everywhere. Ubisoft executive says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their game for subscriptions to take off. He's right. Yes, 100%, and I'm going to get into why that is true. But what you're seeing circulating a lot isn't this whole thing. IGN actually did really well in comparison to a lot of other clickbait articles that just showed not owning their games. That's all it said. Or, excuse me, let me get real specific. It says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games. That's what you would see. And I think a good portion of people saw this and ran with it without actually reading the article, which we'll get into right here in a second. But the problem with that is that you're halfway right. This is exactly where the industry seems that they're going to go, and Ubisoft is jumping on board. But I don't think it's as much as a money grab as what we think. I will say that for anyone that just took it and run with it, guilty as charged. I did too. Before reading the article, I just had all these assumptions that Ubisoft is no longer going to sell tangible copies of anything, that everything is just going to be based subscription service, and as soon as I, delete my subscription, decide to cancel, whatever have you, I will no longer have access to said game. I'm done. My progress is done. I can't jump on, play with friends. It's just over, right? As opposed to the normal, you buy the game, you hold the hard copy, it's yours. If you want to install, uninstall, whatever case, your progress never goes away, and you always have that 24-hour accessibility, 365. You don't have to worry about another edition or another add-on subscription or having to repay for the subscription to just replay a game. But without further ado, let's get into this situation. So most of us, we're not reading we don't care about the details. But this is where I think we need to this is like the meat and potatoes of it. So here we go. Philip Tremblay, director of subscriptions at Ubisoft, explained to GI Biz what needs to happen before subscription services become more significant slice of the video game business. I don't have a crystal ball, but when you look at the difference between subscription services that are out there, we've had a rapid expansion over the last couple years, but it's still relatively small compared to other models. Tremblay, if I'm saying that right, Tremblay says. We're seeing expansion on consoles as the likes of PlayStation and Xbox bring new people. We're seeing expansion on console as the likes of PlayStation and Xbox bring new people in. On PC, from a Ubisoft standpoint, it's already been great, but we're looking to reach out more on PC, so we need opportunity there. And here's where it gets juicy. One thing we saw that gamers are used to a little bit like DVD having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. So essentially, where does this leave us, right? So here's my 2 cents on the whole thing. What he was saying is that you have subscription services in comparison to like DVD rentals and or not rentals, but DVD subscriptions, movie subscriptions, and music subscriptions. So we're talking, your Spotify, your Pandoras, your Netflix, your Hulu's, your HBO Max, all that stuff, right? So when they're saying not owning, just to be kind of get this literal for people, we're no longer going to Target or going to Walmart, wherever it is, and buying a DVD and owning that for however long of time. We're just paying for, the 7, 8, 12, 15.99, whatever subscription, and just being at the, being at the whatever subscription service offers, we're just going to watch those movies on there. Right? We no longer get to pick and choose, and we don't care. We're just going to wait, as opposed to going, like, if you're a little bit old school like I am, back in the day, we used to wait for movies to come out on, like, a movie trading company, and you go get like an old school, $2.99, $1.99 movie that you haven't seen at all or forever. Um, if you're a bit old school like I am, you used to back in the day, you wait till like a cheap date night, or you're bored, you'd hit up Movie Trading Company and go see what you haven't seen in a while, and the movie would be like 199, 299, an old school DVD. This was even before Blu-ray, and you would just buy a cheap movie, keep it in, you archive it, keep it in a big box, whatever, your entertainment center, and you do that every other week, every so often. But that's how we would just kind of that's how you go back in to essentially see your old stuff, right? You would just go buy it tangibly, kind of see what was out in the stores, and kind of just browse, old school shopping to say. Now what you have to do is search a subscription service and see what's playing. If you want to, for example, I've been wanting to see what's it, Boondock Saints for a while. Don't even own a DVD player anymore. I mean, I have a PlayStation, but I don't own an actual DVD player to go buy it, find it at a store, and go watch it at home. I find myself searching on IMDb. Where is it playing? Where can we find where can I find it on Hulu, Amazon, whatever? Okay. What the executive is saying is that games have not been able to get that far yet, and that's because us as gamers, myself included, to me, it's an apple and oranges kind of argument. You cannot. There's just so much more replayability in a game than there is in a movie. Not to mention the price point. So if we're paying $60, $70 for a game now, right? I want to be able to have that for forever. I want it as long as I feel otherwise. If I pay $60 for the game, I want to have it until I deem otherwise. I don't want a subscription service to tell me I can no longer play it, even though I've given X amount of dollars towards it. Now, this is a little bit different for a couple reasons. One, we kind of subliminally got used to the fact, like you said, we're not used to paying for our games or movies anymore. I don't even think a lot of people remember Tuesdays used to be the days media would be it. Media would be the day when DVDs and albums would drop and you would have to go buy them tangibly at your local retailer. So now we live in a world that everything's just at the cusp of our hands with any kind of subscription service. Games are different. We're paying $25, $20 for a new DVD to come out, getting an hour and a half, 2 hours of screen time, and we're done for God knows how long. Most of the time, we're not replaying it right after that. It's going to be in there for, we'll keep it in the drawer, box, whatever you keep your stash of DVDs. It'll be there for weeks till you feel like watching it again, unless you're, very, very into, replayability. For a game, we're getting 70, 80, 100 hours of game time. Well, possibly on certain things. So we want to be able to make sure we have that whenever we want. If I see a movie, if I pay $20 for a movie, I can essentially give it 2 hours and then go about my business. If I pay $60 for a game and it has 100 hours of content and I choose to pick and choose when I want to play that content, if it takes me months, years, whatever, we're not going to get into how many games we've owned and not finished, but that's at our leisure. Now, there is something different to be said if, what's the lesser of two evils? Are we talking, we are no longer paying $60 for a game drop. We're paying $8.99 for the service, and every time a game drops, we have access to that. So if I pay $70 for one game, as opposed to $8.99, spread that out for how many months, how many hours I play. I mean, one mathematician out there might be able to show you if the bang's worth your buck. But I think at the end of the day, us as gamers, especially PC gamers, we're more control freaks. We want to be able to have the say in what we're playing, how we're playing it, when we're playing it, and we don't want to feel like we're nickel and dimed. That's the honest truth. Well, that's my opinion. Anyway, is that if I rather keep it as simple as possible, and even though I'm guilty of this, I've gotten used to subscription services for other media. I don't want gaming to come to that. I don't actually have any subscription services myself right now. I don't have Xbox Game Pass. I don't have PlayStation Network right now. I'm just strictly on PC and letting, if I want something, I buy it. But the other downside to that is, now that I'm thinking about it, there's so many offers of subscriptions between the Hulus, the Amazons, even some of the tangibles that you can buy at your retailer. When you're on PC, you only get the Ubisoft store and Steam. That's really it. I mean, there's a couple offsites, third parties that you could talk about, but there's not really a whole lot there. I mean, yes, you can essentially get through GameStop or something. You can go buy the code, but there's not a whole lot for you to come. There's not really any differences in it. So you're not going to have this arrayment of choices. And once you start taking our choices away, people start getting nervous, and you're boxing us in a corner of, this is all you got. You want to play the game, you got to subscribe. And I don't think we're all, I don't think we're all on board for that. And I think the executive was stating that we are going to have to get comfortable for that to succeed. And as of right now, no one is, which is exactly why the numbers speak for themselves. So it'll be eager to see. I'll be eager to see what happens and what goes from this point. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, if you feel what he said was right, or you don't like where this is going, or you're kind of like myself. This is what's going to happen. Hell or high water, this is a world that we're shifting towards. Let me know what you think.